welcome Reverend Sherrill.
Thank you so much. Let us bow for prayer. Almighty God, we come on this beautiful afternoon asking you to continue to bless the city council of the city of Norfolk, that they will continue to carry out the great work they have done in this great city and for the betterment of this city. Bless this council and their wonderful families, especially our mayor and his wonderful family. Amen.
Dr. Sherrill, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have a proclamation for you, sir.
Okay.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, do you? Okay. He was just ordained. Oh.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Graves?
Here.
Ms. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. McClellan?
Here.
Mr. Riddick?
Here.
Mr. Smigiel,
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Dr. Whibley?
Here.
Mr. Alexander?
Here, the motion is dispensed with the reading of the minutes of our previous meeting.
Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. Mr. Clerk, please read the resolution certifying the closed meeting.
A resolution certifying a closed meeting of the Council of the City of Norfolk held in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. Adopt the resolution. Ms. Graves?
Do I still vote on it if I wasn't in it?
You do not.
Okay.
Sorry.
I wasn't in it.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. Good evening, and again, welcome to the Norfolk City Council Chamber. For the benefit of those who do not regularly attend our council meetings, the procedure that we take up tonight is as follows. First, we take up any ceremonial items. Next, we'll take up the public hearings, then the consent agenda, which will be voted in a block. Any member of the council or the public who wishes to discuss an item will remove that item from the block and consider it separately. Following the consent agenda, then we'll take up regular agenda items in the order as they appear on your docket. Upon the completion of the agenda, we'll then take up any new business to come before the council. To address the council, you should have registered with the clerk prior to 7 p.m. outside of the council chamber. When your name is called, please come to the podium, state your name, your address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We have a proclamation. Dr. Sherrill, will you please stand? This proclamation is to recognize Dr. Carl Sherrill, a lifetime member of the historic Mount Zion Baptist Church located in Berkeley. He was installed as pastor just a couple of weeks ago, and before being called to the pastor at Mount Zion, Reverend Sherrill worked in a number of capacities in the city of Norfolk. More importantly, establishing a scholarship program primarily for Norfolk public school kids who graduate and go into college with scholarships. So, Dr. Sherrill, we commend you, we recognize you, and we thank you for your dedication to the citizens of Norfolk and your new pastorate at Mount Zion Baptist Church. Congratulations.
Amen. Thank you.
Dr. Sherrill, I see you're joined with your beautiful wife, Jackie, and your mother-in-law and your family. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mr. Clerk, PH1.
Public hearing 1 scheduled for this day to hear comments approving a purchase and sale agreement between the city as seller and SMCO LLC as buyer for real property consisting of .8551 acres more or less and located at 2300 Church Street in the city of Norfolk.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Clerk, you can call the roll.
We have an ordinance approving a purchase and sale agreement between the city as seller and SMCO LLC as buyer for real property consisting of .8551 acres more or less and located at 2300 Church Street in the city. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
I. PH2.
Public hearing 2 scheduled for this day on the application of the City Planning Commission for general plan amendment to Plan Norfolk 2030 to incorporate new or modified actions, text, and maps based on recommendations from the April 2017 biennial evaluation of Plan Norfolk 2030. And by a 6-0 vote, Planning Commission recommends approval.
Mr. Rodney Jordan.
Pardon the laptop. The cock was out, so I couldn't print it on paper. My name is Rodney Jordan, 2506 Myrtle Avenue, Norfolk, Virginia, 23504. I'd just like to recommend that you give additional attention to the recommendations that are being made under item 2. Incorporate the recommendations from the citywide affordable housing study. It references following actions in 2.4.2, strengthen neighborhoods in 2.4.3, deconcentrate clusters of poverty, and also modify 2.4.4, which I think this one actually weakens the language. The original language was develop programs to prevent concentrations while ensuring affordable housing is located and so forth. The current language takes out the developing programs to prevent and just simply speaks to ensure. So I would recommend that you put the stronger language back, especially in light of all the conversation that's going on about deconcentration of poverty. I think the other 2 items are nice, but I also think they can be much stronger. And if you go into the Plan 2030, this actually comes under, if I'm following it correctly, outcome 2.4, which speaks to neighborhoods of choice that embrace people from a diversity of incomes and ethnicities. The metric that's there says percent of population residing in racially or poverty concentrated census tracts. But I don't think that's a strong metric at all. It doesn't say whether or not you're talking about protected classes, doesn't mention if you're talking about African Americans. You could have 10% of the population in a racially concentrated census tract, and all 10% could be African American, and you would continue to have segregation. So I would just ask that you all go back and look at the general plan, look at the metrics, add some stronger language in terms of the items I mentioned before, and definitely have some specific metrics to ensure that we aren't going to repeat the problems that we've seen in the past. As you all know, I've spent several years on the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority Board, and nebulous language like this often haunts us as we look forward. Later on, you'll hear about St. Paul's area. Had there been stronger language 50 years ago, had it been stronger language 20 years ago, we would not find ourselves dealing with the levels of concentrations and racial segregation that we have in the city. And I would encourage this council to try to make sure that the language we have today doesn't find itself in a case where our children or grandchildren have to deal with something 50 years later and we're still dealing with the same issues of segregation and concentrated poverty. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Benda, is there anything that we need to do to this, to PH2 before, welcome, Mr. Newcomb.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. As you know, this is a series of amendments that we do every 2 years to the Plan 2030. We adopted it in 2013. If you all have had the opportunity to look at it and you have questions about the language, we are certainly welcome to take a continuance and we'll see what we can do to strengthen it. This has been to the Planning Commission. It did have a solid recommendation for adoption and it was forwarded to you all for consideration. It was certainly no intent on anyone's part to weaken any language addressing poverty or housing or the city's initiatives on any of those. I think you can read what you want in some of the words that we use sometimes.
Mr. Jordan, did you make these comments also at the Planning Commission level?
No, sir, did not have the opportunity to do so, but I did have the opportunity to speak with the folks that are working on the affordable housing strategy. And also, if you look at your Vision 2100, there's much stronger language in that document than what's being recommended for plan in this particular document.
I like his recommendation.
Yes. So, Mr. Newcomb, are we under any time constraints to pass this
No, sir.
tonight?
No, you're not.
All right, a motion to continue into our next council meeting.
Certainly.
Mr. Clerk?
Thank you.
Continue to August 22. Ms. Graves?
Thank you, Mr. Jordan, for catching that and for bringing that to our attention. I would suggest sometimes in the future that if you have those suggestions that are very specific, that you might email those to us, and then we can catch them before we get here and implement them so that the continuance is not a problem, but, so that we can get it right the first time. But thank you. I vote aye.
Ms. Johnson?
I definitely vote aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Thank you. Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. PH3, the motion is continued until August 22nd. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. PH4,
Public hearing 4 is scheduled for this day on the application of the City Planning Commission to amend Chapter 2 definitions in Section 13-6.7 Communication Antenna of the city zoning ordinance to add a definition for small cell facility, amend related definitions, and address small cell antennae as accessory structures, and by 6-0 vote, Planning Commission recommends approval.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
I have an ordinance to amend Sections 2-3 and 13-6.7 of the zoning ordinance of the City of Norfolk, 1992, so as to establish a process for reviewing and approving small cell wireless communication facilities on existing structures. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. C1 through C4, we vote on the block.
Approve the consent agenda. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. R1, motion is to have that item withdrawn from the docket.
Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. C2,
A resolution approving the protocol for delinquent meal taxes and special exceptions.
clerk, please call the roll.
Adopt the resolution. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. R3,
An ordinance permitting Square Peg LLC to encroach into the rights-of-way of 40th Street and Parker Avenue at 4000 Parker Avenue with an existing pent roof, 2 signs, 2 planters, and entranceway steps. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
aye. R4,
An ordinance approving a right of entry permitting the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority to go upon and use certain city-owned property located at 2600 East Princess Anne Road for redevelopment work on the former Dreamkeeper Academy site.
Can I ask a question?
yes, Mr. Riddick.
Did I see something about demolition possibly of this property?
Mr. Bennett, please come forward.
Yes, sir, you did.
And what would happen to it? What would happen to this land?
Well, right now, what we're doing is we assessed the building with Norfolk Public Schools, and we found that they have no use for it and went through the process of getting it back from the schools. We've since done an internal assessment, found that much of the copper and other things in the building have been taken, and right now we're worrying about the blighting influence. We do intend to take it down and repurpose the playground that's on the front side to a different school, and refurbish and rehab some of the recreational amenities that are on the back side. And what we want to do is work with you and Ms. Johnson about the Broad Creek plan. We rode the area recently, so there's no intended immediate plan that the city that I know of that we have for it, other than
What kind of shape is it in?
it's not in very good shape, sir.
Because I had imagined that would be a place we could have our 24-hour daycare center. It's in terrible shape or what? I mean, we just had Campostella Elementary just leave there. So
When we went in, we turned on the water. Water came down in the ceiling and in other areas. And our best knowledge, our assessment of it would be it'd be hard to repurpose and rehab.
Okay.
But to that end, we can get you a better assessment, a building assessment
Okay.
that will tell you more than what I'm telling you.
okay, not a problem.
And so, Mr. Riddick, we were doing a tour. I was out on tour week before last.
Okay.
And Dreamkeepers Academy could have been a possibility for a child care facility, but Dreamkeepers Academy is in such disrepair that we have to go back to the drawing board
Okay.
as far as plans for the Broad Creek area.
All right.
It probably would have been okay if, like, we moved in there right after Campostella moved out, but with vacant buildings and copper piping and all that, I mean, those things are being stolen all across the city. So with it being vacant, it just goes bad.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. R5.
An ordinance finding a public necessity for the acquisition in fee simple of certain portion of the property located at 9509 Dinsmore Place for the purpose of a future water quality improvement project, approving the acquisition of the property by purchase agreement and authorizing the expenditure of the sum of up to $31,000 from funds heretofore appropriated for acquisition of the property and all related transactional costs. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. R6.
An ordinance approving an open data policy and authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary and proper to carry out its terms.
Stanley Zen.
Hi, Council. My name is Stanley Zhang. I'm a citizen of Norfolk and a member of Code for Hand Roads. We responded to your comments for requests for the open data policy. We wanted to reiterate our support for the open data policy, and we think that it's moving in the right direction. So thank you very much. That's all.
Mr. Clerk.
Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
An enthusiastic aye. Thanks for everybody's worked on this. I'm excited to share more data with our citizens and be a little bit more transparent. Thank you. Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
I just want to thank the city for doing this. Also, Mr. Manager, just wanted to point out the graphic that's on the television is not R6. That's for R9, I believe.
Thank you.
Okay. Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. R7.
An ordinance approving a cost participation agreement between the City of Norfolk and Hampton Roads Sanitation District for sanitary sewer force main within Pershing Avenue.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. R8.
A resolution opposing offshore oil and gas drilling and exploration, including seismic testing.
Alice James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Smith. Just thought you'd be interested in that. Very interesting. You can slide it over if you want to pass it around. My name is Ellis W. James. I reside at 2021 Ken Lake Place here in the city of Norfolk. I am delighted to rise to speak in favor of asking our city council to oppose the offshore drilling as well as the seismic testing for a lot of reasons. I am not going to put you through those reasons tonight. Just so you will know, any of you on the council who don't know, over 1,100 communities, associations, counties, chambers of commerce types, Outer Banks, tourist groupings are on the map that I have who are now opposing this. Norfolk's voice is extremely important. Norfolk's voice is the voice not only of Hampton Roads, but our voice is loud and clear with respect to our Navy, our Coast Guard, and all of the tourists who come and flow through our neighborhoods from the Eastern Shore. There is no one that we can find, we meaning those of us who are part of the Sierra Club, who are now in favor of the offshore drilling. And that includes the voice of the City Council of Virginia Beach, which was previously very much in favor of offshore drilling and seismic testing, but especially the offshore drilling component. They have now switched loud and clear to let the Interior Department and the Navy and everybody else know that they are no longer in favor of offshore drilling. I would urge each member of council, if you have any questions about why there's so much opposition to this effort, it's very easy to Google up or tap somebody, one of your neighbors on the shoulder, and ask, gee, Ellis, what's this over here? Or why is that a problem? There is just absolutely no lack of information when it comes to this very strategic and difficult situation. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much, and I hope that all of you will vote in favor of the resolution opposing the offshore drilling and the seismic testing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. James. Mr. Clerk, R9, there is a motion to continue generally.
Mr. Mayor, we need to vote on
I'm sorry.
R8.
Yes, sorry. R8.
Adopt the resolution. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Thank you to the Norfolk Environmental Commission as well for supporting this and instructing us on this. I'm happy to be joining the City of Virginia Beach. Aye.
Mr. Riddick?
Aye.
Mr. Smigiel,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Great. Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Yes, sir.
R9, there's a motion to continue generally. However, since so many of you are here, I'm going to hold the vote, Mr. Clerk, and to allow those who are here to speak. And if the motion is successful, we will continue the vote generally. But since you're here, certainly we will allow the speakers to speak. So, Mr. Clerk, R9, and I'll call the names after you read the capture.
An ordinance approving a cooperation agreement regarding the redevelopment of the St. Paul's area, including the development and implementation of a redevelopment plan, creation of an entity, and the expenditure of up to $2 million heretofore appropriated.
Okay, thank you. Father Jim Curran from the Basilica of St. Mary's. Father, welcome.
I'm Father Jim Curran. I reside at 1000 Holt Street. That's where the address of the Basilica. It is in the middle of Tidewater Gardens. Before I went into the seminary, I lived hand to mouth for many years. And when you live hand to mouth, you fear even a flat tire, because something as simple as a flat tire is enough for you to put you behind on your bills, and you can never recover. It is a stressful way to live. So many of the residents at Tidewater Gardens and the other developments in the area live hand to mouth. They are fortunate enough to be housed, to have a place to live, but it's a very stressful way to live. I would like to echo the concerns of Mr. Jordan that stronger language be used, that the residents of these places are our citizens, they are our brothers and sisters, and they are very stressed. Not knowing what your future is going to bring, And knowing the history of Norfolk in redevelopment makes them very, very nervous. I would like to echo my brother and ask that very specific, very intentional, and very strong language be used in forming the processes as we move forward to ensure our citizens that they will be cared for. And not just to have a voucher, but to ensure that those vouchers bring them housing. It would be a real crime for us to develop economically an area at the expense of those who are already so economically stressed.
Thank you, Dominic. Alton Robinson.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Councilman. My name is Alton Robinson. My address is 628 West 27th Street. I'm here on behalf because I got a call from some grassroots members of the community, and they was concerned about it. And I knew that I could inform the community about what is actually going to take place. And so when I looked and saw the agenda item on the city website, I saw the description, and it really took me a hard time to find out whether I had the right agenda item. The agenda item is to approve a cooperation agreement with the City of Norfolk and the Norfolk Redevelopment Housing Authority. The Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority was established by the Norfolk City Council. So it's almost as if I'm making an agreement with my partner that's already my partner. And I'm not opposing the plan. It's just that I don't see the plan. There's no plan in this agenda item. It talks about an agreement between the Norfolk Redevelopment Housing Authority and the City Council. It talks about visions, but it talks about the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority's vision. Then it says the community's input. But what about the community's vision? Let the community be the lead. Let them bring their vision to the table, and then let NRHA have some input with their vision, and then begin to start revitalizing the area. It's an opportunity for many in the community to have jobs, to be entrepreneurs, and if we're going to really raise this community where it be an area where everyone can live, then improve the social and economic status of the people that are already there with this opportunity right here. I think that the language here is not tight enough. They use affordable housing. I saw online a house was being built for $100 million. That house was affordable by the person who bought it. So let's use language that says inexpensive homes to ensure somebody's gonna have a home. So then when they have a home, then the money that they invest in their home will be equity that they can use to help put their children through college. Like many of you, if you don't have the money, I'm quite sure you'll pull some equity out your house, $10,000, $15,000 to help your child get through college. The residents there have been there for decades. NRHA done spent millions of dollars writing grants on the backs of the people that live there. And after 2 and 3 decades, the social and economic status of the people remain the same. Exactly. So how do millions of dollars go through a community, and the community, talking about the people, not the brick and mortar, remains the same? And this plan here, it's not a plan, but the cooperation agreement talks about revitalizing an area, but not revitalizing the people who live in the area. So I hope you all do kind of continue this so you can get a little more input from the community. Thank you.
Kimberly Williams.
Please call my name. I can't wait.
Kimberly
I've
Williams.
been for a while to know what y'all about to do. People gonna be homeless, man.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Kimberly Williams, and I live at 2616 Bowden's Ferry Road in the Lambs Point neighborhood. I'm here tonight because I am a member of the Catholic worker community. We're a lay community that served the poor. I organized a soup kitchen 3 mornings a week, and I also manage a food pantry of donated foods. And many of the recipients of the food that my community shares live in the 3 neighborhoods that are being discussed tonight: the Tidewater Gardens, the Calvert Square, and the Roberts Village neighborhoods. And I am here to just plead for people that I have gotten to know in these neighborhoods, relationships that I have been able to be privileged to form, people I've known for years. And I just want to give you a quick rundown. People I know who live in these neighborhoods, I meet people with IQ challenges, severe physical challenges, the elderly, people with HIV, people with mental health challenges, people with multiple challenges. You can have many of these challenges within one household, and you have mothers dealing with these challenges sometimes, and they're raising children. And I guess I want to echo Father Jim. Their stress does not need to be added to. And when you talk about vouchers, a lot of folks that I know and share food with, they don't have cars. So if you give them a voucher, how are they going to get around to find the place that has a voucher? They don't have any leftover money once their basic bills are paid for even public transportation. And I know that when vouchers are given, Section 8 vouchers are given, there's no guarantee that there is suitable housing that will be found that will accept the vouchers. And people with the many physical and medical challenges that are concentrated indeed in these neighborhoods, they don't need to be made refugee and made to move away from where they're getting their health care. How hard has it been to get that established? How hard would it to get it to be reestablished somewhere? So I just ask you to deeply take these realities into consideration. The reality is of the poorest among us, the weakest among us, the most challenged among us. And I say, yes, everyone deserves to live in dignity. And yes, everyone deserves opportunity. Yes, let's have more and more integrated city. But no to making people into refugees. No into increasing their burdens. Thank you very much.
Trinity Joyner.
Hi, my name is Trinity Joyner. My address was 881 Bagnall Road. I am a rising 9th grader, and I'm looking forward to going back to school from being homeschooled. So I'm going to be going back to high school this year. I just want to speak on how the city is tearing down these houses. Calvert Square, Young's Park, all of that. It's just, some of these people cannot afford to stay in other places, and the city is trying to help them, but they cannot afford the help that they're trying to provide. The Section 8, it doesn't go as far. Like, it's not right. Sometimes people cannot afford the places that you're trying to send them. The reason they're in the places they're in now is because they can afford it. But the places that people are trying to send them, trying to help them look for, they can't afford that. It's like the people, they can't say anything about it because they don't know what to do. They can't afford they can barely afford where they're staying at now. And people don't have jobs. People don't have transportation. They're relying on other people to help them do things that they cannot do. And it's changing. The fact that it's changing, they cannot change how they were before because they weren't doing anything about the living conditions that they are in now. some of my family lives in these houses and they're getting torn down. Some people are going to be homeless. The city is trying to help, but they're not doing anything to really help them. They can't help them look for houses because they don't know if they can afford it or not. It's not right. No, like people, the children is what I'm really worried about, because the schools is the worst, and this is not right for the children. No, like, you're changing the city visually, but you're also changing it because these people, they can't do anything about the changes. They don't have the strength to speak up about anything because people don't listen and people don't understand the things that they're going through. Only they understand. And people just know, it's just like as the city of Norfolk, as they continue to enhance the city visually, I just ask that you do not forget the people that fill the spaces within these structures. And don't forget the city's most valuable commodity is the children.
There you go.
Cynthia Garrett.
Good evening. Cynthia Garrett, 3556 Riverside Drive, Norfolk. Good evening, Mayor Alexander, City Council members. I speak this evening as a lifelong citizen of Norfolk, a realtor, a member of the Regional Equity Engagement Task Force of Empower Hampton Roads. As a lifelong citizen of Norfolk, I remember the gentrification of Ghent, how people lost their homes and had no way, no hope of returning. As a lifelong citizen of Norfolk, I am proud of the direction of our city in the development of Waterside District and the downtown area. I am not, however, proud of the direction Norfolk has taken in the direction of affordable housing. As a realtor, I've had clients who want to live in Norfolk, but because of lack of acceptable, affordable housing, decided to live in other cities. The demolition and development of these housing projects, housing communities, presents a unique opportunity to create an equitable situation for all of Norfolk citizens, including the residents of the public housing communities. Due to the importance of this opportunity, it can't be done haphazardly. This agreement does not provide enough clarity for the community. I would like to bring to remembrance that the planning efforts for the St. Paul Quadrant that began in 2005 was never approved by the council. This speaks to the lack of commitment that the council and the Planning Commission has in initiating a true affordable housing initiative for the city. Appropriate plans should exist that involves the stakeholders of the program. In accordance in the ordinance, I especially want to bring to your attention the governing board, which doesn't include any stakeholders, in an effort to increase transparency and to treat the stakeholders in a fair and honorable manner. I ask that this ordinance and participation agreement not be adopted in the current form. Thank you.
Thank you. Billy Cook.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Manager. My name is Billy Cook, 2720 Marlborough Avenue in the city of Norfolk. Mr. Mayor, you've already decided that as a body that you're going to delay this. And I think that's good. That's the bottom line of what I was going to ask for, because you need to clarify for people in the community the third leg of this, and that is, how are you going to have the community involved? You need to clarify that to assail all the concerns of people saying we can't trust them, we don't know what's going on, they're out to get us. And I'm just asking you to clarify that, because if you don't address the perceptions, then the perceptions will persist and the morale of the community will stay where it is right now. And that's, as people have pointed out, it's not in a good place. So I look at the city manager, I say that to you because you're going to lead this effort. But you need to communicate how this is going to be better than Moulton Park, better than Roberts Park, better than Liberty Park, better than all of those past events. You got to have a plan. You got to communicate that plan. And then lastly, I'll say this. There's two aspects of this, because I've seen this in my other career where we had refugees and where we've had people in New Orleans when I was in FEMA headquarters. There's the infrastructure side, that's the buildings. That's the easiest part to deal with. But you got to have a specific plan about the human capital. How are you going to move a prototypical mother with 3 kids from Moulton Park or Tidewater Park to a housing situation? How are you going to move one that may be disabled from where she is, a grandmother, right, with 5 grandkids in her house? How are you going to move her? And those prototypical processes have to be laid out so that you can put people where they need to go. So I'm just saying you got to communicate to folks what's going on. You got to take everything they're going to bring with it, because there's a lot of emotion behind this, as you all know. So that's all I wanted to say. And I just want to encourage you to communicate. Make sure people know what's going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Michelle Cook.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. My name is Miss Michelle Cook. I live at 589 Ruffner Street in Norfolk, Virginia, 23504. I am here with my attorney, Don Scott. I am the president of Tidewater Gardens Tenant Management Corporation. Served on the St. Paul's Quadrant Advisory Committee and have lived in Tidewater Gardens for 13 years. I am angry and disappointed by this agreement and the fact that it even made it to this point for your consideration. My feelings are echoed by the many residents to whom I have spoken. Forming an organization with the city manager and NRHA executive director in charge is an insult. I do not see any place for residents in your structure. And looking at your vision, I do not see any place for us in your plans. I will work with attorney Don Scott to ensure my rights and the rights of all interested residents are protected. This agreement and this process shows residents of Tidewater, Young, and Calvert clearly cannot depend upon our elected officials to protect our interests. I demand that you table this event. And if you cannot do that, then you have the courage to vote no. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I signed up as well to accompany her. Again, my name is Don Scott. I'm here to assist the Tenant Management Council and the president. As I looked at this agreement and examined the agreement that was put forth, what I heard one of the gentlemen say, Billy Cook, I think, Mr. Cook, he said, well, the city manager's in charge of bringing this vision home. And I think that's an error. The city council was the folks in charge of making this happen. They appointed the NRHA. And as I looked at some of the agreements and some of the outcomes, if I was a resident, I looked at a CAPERS report. I think that's our consolidated performance report. And I looked at some outcomes or some grants from the Housing Authority that NRHA had managed. And it talked about one of the goals in there was job creation, job retention. And literally in that report, it had 0 jobs created for some of those grants that had been granted. If I were a resident, I would be really afraid that this same outfit is going to look out for our interests as we move forward. So as Ms. Cook has stated, we'll be working together to make sure that the residents and the tenants' interests are put forward. Thank you.
Monica Wilson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Monica Wilson. I stay at 1281 Herbert Collins Way. Kind of nervous. I lived out Tidewater Gardens, 404 Chapel Street. I speak for the residents. I speak for my mom and my sisters. After I was able to get on my own, I stayed out Youngs Park, which is 815 Smith Street. I always been a hardworking person. And after I left 815 Smith Street, I did get on Section 8. That's why I'm in Broad Creek. And in 3 years from now, I probably will be a homeowner. But I'm an exception. I'm the fruit. My mom, even though she's disabled, she carried all her kids on her back. She cannot do it. She cannot do it. I'm a CDL driver, CNA, a lead teacher at La Petite. I juggle multiple jobs at one time, and I'm still trying to gas for air to pay my bills. I make decent amount of money, and I just sat there and I thought, my mom that's disabled with my two sisters, how would they even able to carry a car note, insurance, light bill, gas bill? It needs to be a plan. Somebody stepped in and mentored me. Somebody said, look, they showed me something different. A lot of people didn't see different. They knew it was coming. And I'm not even saying I'm opposed to it, but what is the plan? You guys are just putting them on the street. There's no job creation. There's no job training. Somebody showed me something different. Now, I know you say it's not up to you, but it is going to be up to you. These people are not going to leave these streets. The same people you think, oh, we're going to build it up nice, they're going to be at your back door. So either you help them or somebody going to be knocking at your door. And it's sad to say because I'm on both sides. I feel like I'm in the suburbs now, but I go every single day and I volunteer, even with my multiple jobs and my one daughter who I had at 30. So when I say I'm the exception of the rule. So it needs to be a plan. That's all. Thank you.
Myra Burton.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the council. I'm Myra Burton. I'm a resident of Norfolk, and I live at 690 Red Mill Road. On behalf of St. John African Methodist Episcopal Church at 545 East Butte Street, I am here to make a statement from the Family Life Ministry and representing the pastor, the Reverend John D. Burton. We are praying that the city council decisions would not disrupt the lives of residents of the Tidewater Garden, Youngs Park community. We are praying that residents will have a say in the redevelopment of what we are calling St. Paul Quadrant. I have worked with residents of Tidewater Garden, and there are still many unanswered questions here. Where will they go? This is my 8th year as a resident in Norfolk, and as long as I can remember, there has been some discussion about the redevelopment of Tidewater Garden. Some headway has been made through Nussbaum and an already accepted proposal. I suggest until those proposed houses have been built and that there are suitable places for people to go, no further action should be taken by the city council. So I suggest to delay this decision until at least 80% of all the residents have agreed on what should happen and have the opportunity to determine the outcome or the actions. Vouchers only send people to Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, and Chesapeake. Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing has had previous studies of St. Paul Quadrant that for whatever reason never seemed to pan out. They involved residents, they involved concerned citizens, yet could not follow through in the plans that they had already made. We are hoping, and we will continue to pray, that our city is not disrupted by such an ill-thought thing, and that Norfolk Redevelopment certainly is not the one who should be in charge. We thank you, we bless you, and we wish that you would abandon this proposal. Thank you.
Jamaica Harrison.
Hello, my name is Jamaica Harrison. I stay at 6608 Pilot Avenue, Apartment B in Norfolk. And I just feel like that y'all setting our people up for failure. Because these people living these based on income, they not used to real bills, real rent. Then you offering them a voucher. They need good credit with the voucher. You just can't give them the voucher with the credit. They credit line messed up. They not going to be in a nice apartment. They going to have to find a private owner. Then how many private owners we have? Like, it's going to be a real bad struggle. I just feel like y'all should fix the communities up. Like, build the people, build a community, and build the people with it. And I feel like, yeah, that's all.
Rose Washington. Miss Washington. All right. Derek, come on.
Hey, my name is Rose Washington. I stay on 1002 Mariner Street. And basically, I do feel like a lot of people, I'm older, like, I'm 31 years old. So a lot of people don't know what's going on. They young girls, they just know they got a unit. I grew up out Berkeley, so we ain't had no pops. Our parents was based on that income, but it won't like how it is now. Like, if you throw them a voucher, a lot of people don't know they don't even know what to do. They don't even know how to find no house, no cribs, or none of that. So I just feel like y'all setting the people up for failure, and y'all gonna be building a bunch of homeless shelters or something with the money. But thank you.
Derek Bishop.
I've been waiting to say so. I couldn't wait. I was real impatient, man. I'm gonna keep it 100. Okay. First of all, I just want to say a couple things. First of all, my name is Derek Bishop. I'm from 1134 Godfrey Avenue. That was in Bowling Park. That y'all did the same thing that y'all about to do. Y'all did that to us. But you know what happened though when y'all did that though? Everybody was homeless. They gave them a voucher. They got a house. Okay, just think about it. You in the park right now. Say like your rent $200, which ain't nothing because I pay $1,000 a month. Your rent $200, right? You in the park. That's it. That's all you paying. But when we give you that voucher, we might pay that little $900 rent, $800 rent. They might pay that. But think about this. You got no utilities that fall in too. Now, if you working at McDonald's and you got 2-3 kids, you making what? $7.25 an hour or whatever, something like that, right? All together, you get 40 hours a week. What's that? $290, right? After taxes, how much money you got? So it's impossible. That's what I'm telling you. I'm gonna tell you the truth. It's impossible for y'all to misplace these people, man. That's what's happening. Like they say, you need to get more involved in what y'all did. What's gonna be the third leg to move these people to make sure they're good. Because it's gonna be, when homelessness comes, more drugs come, more violence come. And you know what's gonna be the different thing about it? That drug dealer that's out there with them gates that y'all got around the junk now, and the police keep scrolling around and catch them every day. Guess where he gonna be at? Right behind your house doing the same thing. So think about that too. Now, my opinion is, turn them down, or whatever. But just make sure you got something for these people to go. You know what I'm saying? Because look at Grandin Park. Grandin Park's still a project, but they turn down certain parts and they making it look better and they better. But I know y'all been trying to turn down Tidewater Park for the longest. And they've been fighting it back. This is before y'all even try to get us. But I'm telling you, I'm coming from experience. Now let me get on this other note. The other note is, I grew up in the street. I did everything wrong, sold drugs, all that. Went to jail, all that. But guess what? I made it out. I'm not a felon. I enrolled in school a year ago. I got 46 credits and 1 year at TCC. Guess what though? On the honor roll. On the honor, last semester, all A's. Like, I'm not retarded. I'm educated. There's some people out there. I got a cousin that stayed right across the street from me, last name Bishop. She's a judge in Richmond. Like, it's people that our future, our kids, these people that's out here in the park is not just trash, man. And that's what y'all doing. Y'all just like, hey, come on. Do this, do that. And another thing, this $2 million they done gave y'all to do this with, is this $2 million for the help relocate, or is it for to help these people get jobs and programs? What is for? Take that money. Look, it costs more money to tear down, to build up than to fix. Another thing, Mr. Riddick, you got a lot of respect. You got a lot of respect out here in these parks, man. I just had it on live. I had like 200 people that can't make it watching my live feed. Y'all know what Facebook is. That means the people that ain't here can see. You know what people was out there saying, man? They said they're disappointed in you. But you know what? You helped yourself. You know what you did? When you said something about Dream Keepers. Check this out. That stuff they telling you, that's a lie, man. I've been in Dream Keepers and I know what's up. The reason why they trying to push that junk down because they just built a new Broad Creek and there's an eyesore next to that. That's what it is. That's the real thing. That daycare you talking about, man, I feel like you was real passionate about it. I think you should stick with it, man. It'll be less of money to go in there and fix it up to make it habitable for the people than to tear it down, man. Everything ain't about just tear it down. And one more thing before I sit down, and I'm gonna say thank you. I voted for you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Listen, I had a meeting and I got like 200-300 people that never voted to go vote for you, man. Do right by us, man. Bowling Park.
James, Dr. Watson. Dr. James Watson. You pass? Thank you for coming. Michael J. Muhammad.
That's a good thing. Y'all making folks mad that shouldn't be made mad. Michael J. Muhammad, 1216 Curry Court, Norfolk, Virginia, 23513. Mr. Mayor, Ms. Johnson, thank you for being honorable by your word and making sure that the citizens had more input before you went forward. Mr. Riddick, I echo the young man's sentiments. While you grandstand in the media, you knew this was coming and you all helped put it in place. And the reality is that the very housing authority members that you all put in place put you all in a position where you have to defend that which you probably don't even all the way understand. And that should recall you all removing some of them, if not all of them, because this type of hysteria should not happen. It wouldn't happen in any of the white communities or more affluent communities, and you should not continue to talk to the people as if they're less than because their economic status is less than. No, we can't be refugees, and I understand people want to help, but certain language hurts. We are citizens, we are human beings, and some of the most intelligent people that are amongst us either came from the projects or live in the projects. We need to begin to look at how to take people out of poverty into being able to be value-added contributing citizens. If by Mr. Smith's projections, and he should know this will be $1 billion+ project, why aren't we talking about how the people in the public housing can acquire contracts or the skills necessary to acquire contracts so that they're not in poverty, so that they can move into their own housing and stop looking for vouchers? This can be planned out much better than it has been done. And those who failed to plan it should be dealt with accordingly because they have caused hysteria and panic amongst the citizens that is not necessary. So we thank you all for withholding your vote and do the right thing and fire your city attorney who continues to give you all bad legal advice and put you all in positions where you'll be sued. You should not be being sued by a title company because the city attorney played phone games and didn't allow them to have access to talk to the attorney. Mr. Riddick, to continue to hold that man in place, he's a criminal and he will hopefully eventually be judged as such, tried as such, and hopefully convicted as such. He has given tremendous bad advice time and time again, and you all continue to make blunders before the public because you listen to him. I don't understand how we continue to believe you all when you sell us this poison around election time that you're going to do our bidding. We must stop and start with getting rid of your city attorney and setting right the record, getting rid of that last bastion of the previous administration that holds you in a pattern where white developers are going to come in and take the land from under our people's feet and live wealthy while our people suffer.
Thank you, Mr. Merriman. Deborah Ross. Deborah Ross. Good afternoon.
I'm a resident of Tidewater Gardens. My concern is for the residents and mostly for the children. I didn't go to church tonight because when I got to go outside, I saw the kids playing outside. Then I saw the news talking about the meeting. And I came out because I know what happened with Roberts. I don't want to see history repeat itself. Some families did well, build strong communities, affordable housing. Some was able to make it out with that. But at the end, the ones that was lost, the children suffered the most. Our children go through a lot in our communities. And this should be our first vision to make sure they are doing well. And with the funding should be spent appropriately so that when I look out what happened, that we are taken care of. We be a part of this plan. Because you're dealing with people housing people's lives. No one want to be homeless. We got enough of that in our community now. So I'm hoping that you'll be fair about what you're gonna do, have a conscience, do what's right. And I pray all is well.
Thank you. Deshaun Faulkner. Deshaun Faulkner.
How y'all doing?
Hey,
how you doing, Mr. Mayor?
Hey,
How you doing, Council? I just wanted to raise the concern about, the future plan for the residents if in fact y'all do destroy Tidewater Gardens, Calvert Square, as well as Young's. I am a member of what was Bowling Green, Bowling Park area. Just as the young man just explained, Derek, we went through so much just trying to figure out what we were going to do next when the vouchers actually came. So my main concern at this point, do y'all have anything in place for the residents as far as first-time home ownership programs or just entrepreneur programs? Because there's a lot of us young men out there who actually have established business. We can't get proper funding. And we see so many changes coming that we just kind of like lost at this point. So my main concern, like I said, the children's, as well as, as far as us young men, given a fair chance at pretty much developing our own business to help our own community. So basically going forward, whatever y'all plan, I just want y'all to make the best decision, like the young lady just said, for the future, the children. Because at this point, I'm in the community, feed the homeless through Mothers Against Crime. We have a lot of parents that can't even afford Pampers. So to be out there distributing Pampers and to hear the emotional plight that they have is just very heartfelt. So at this point, I would like to more or less, as the mayor, far as future-wise, can we put in some type of entrepreneur program if y'all do destroy the communities, that we as citizens, as residents, get contracts, just as Michael Muhammad explained, we possibly need access to. So that's pretty much my own, pretty much question or process I wanted to bring forth to y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. I do want to acknowledge the presence and offer the podium to former Vice Mayor Father Joseph M. Green if he wishes to make any comments. Father Green. All right, good to see you, Father Green. Also, extend that same courtesy to Reverend Dr. Kurt Houston from Gethsemane Baptist Fellowship Church.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Pastor.
City Council, Mr. Manager, good to see you all this evening. As a resident and pastor in the city of Norfolk, I am concerned about the city and all of its citizens. I am invested in and committed to serving, supporting, leading, being accountable, and holding our elected and appointed officials accountable for fair and equitable treatment for and service to all of its residents. The St. Paul's Quadrant project, as it has been referred to, has been discussed and considered for a number of years and has understandably garnered a great deal of concern, of skepticism, fear, and anger from our public housing residents who will be directly impacted by the decision of the council and NHRA. I am of the opinion that everything we do as a city should be done to improve the quality of life and expand the opportunities for success for all of its citizens and residents. As in every city, there are residents who have resources, relationships, authority, and power to control their own destiny. Then there are the least of these, who do not possess the same resources, connections, or power, but have the same rights to be heard, respected, and considered in all of the city's decisions. My message to you, Mayor Alexander, and the City Council is that whatever we do, that it is done with transparency, with compassion, community collaboration, and consideration for the least of these. Obviously, there is a history here that validates and justifies the skepticism surrounding this endeavor. We all know it, and we cannot deny it. The largest room in the world is the room for improvement, but let's make sure that the improvement is for everybody and not just a segment of our community. We all want the same things for our families: safe neighborhoods, pathways to success, good paying jobs, and high quality schools. I'm not one just to stand on the sidelines and throw rocks and criticize. I believe in being a part of the process and the solution. Our church, Gethsemane, our CDC, the Garden of Hope, we're all willing to partner with the city and service providers in the city and community members to help to prepare our citizens and our residents, underserved and marginalized citizens, to become more successful. Whatever we do, let's do the right thing. Let's do it together. This could be an opportunity for growth in our city. Let's just make sure it's done well, done right. All hands are on the table. All citizens are involved and informed. Everybody feels comfortable with whatever we decide to do. Now, I will say this. I truly believe in, and I said this, and I have committed to working along with the manager, along with other clergymen in the clergy in the community. Whatever it is, let's call it what it is, and let's say exactly what it is, so that everybody knows. If it's 33 in terms of folks returning and high income housing, then let's say that. Whatever it is, let's say what it is, so that we can all decide, is that what we want to do with this community, and move forward together, all trusting, believing, and collaborating together. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share.
Dr. Calvin Durham, if you would like to make any comments, you're certainly welcome to do so.
Calvin Durham, 3433 Boyce. I did not come to make comments tonight. Really, I came to listen to see exactly and to hear the direction of the council along with NRHA. As a doctoral student, I shared time with Cheryl Montgomery, the former director, and John Konak as well, I'm familiar with. And many of you I know, and I'm concerned that these areas, Tidewater, Youngs, and Calvary, will be considered and be planned out, and what is done is equitable, and it is even across the board. One thing I think that needs to be said that it has not been said, that you have 1,600 in one community, 1,600 plus, 1,700 in another community, and 700 in another community. Am I right, Mr. Manager? And so if we develop that area, will everybody come back? See, that's the thing that really we need to be like Pastor Houston and shared. We need to be real. We need to just put the cards on the table and say, to the people in those areas, now if we're going to give them vouchers. That's why NRHA is pushing so hard for landlords, Section 8 landlords, because they knew that this time was coming, so that they would have areas in the city to disperse these individuals to. And if we're going to do what it is that now that we're saying that we're planning to do, I'm here to make sure that the congregants and the individuals in the community that hold on to in New Hope and other places, to make sure that they get the information they need, they understand it, and they told what is right, all right, and make sure that they know what the city is going to do with where they live, who wants to stay and who wants to leave. What does that mean? And what will come about when that happens? And that's why I'm here. I'm not here to criticize. I want to see what's going on. I want to know the plan so that I can help those who I lead.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, the motion is to continue generally.
Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
I just want to say thank you for the folks who've come down here and engaged with us. I think, and I can speak on behalf of myself, we need to do more community input and outreach, and we are looking forward to working with y'all in the future. Aye.
Excuse me.
Mr.
I didn't mean to
Riddick?
interrupt you, Ms. Graves. I signed up.
Yes, you did. What's your name, sir?
Robert Henderson.
Robert Henderson, all right.
Yes, sir.
Let's pause for Robert Henderson. Please, welcome. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Robert Henderson. Stay 1120 Craig Street in Berkeley.
Mr. Henderson, you signed up for a new business.
Oh, I thought that's what this was.
No, sir.
I thought, oh, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yes, sir. Please, we'll call you at the appropriate time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Riddick?
I want to thank everybody that came down as well. This is a very serious endeavor, as we all know. And one of the things I've been saying that I really believe that the city should show some commitment. And when I say commitment, before we start doing any demolition, I think the city should build some structures, for our seniors or for our young families. I also believe that NRHA should create life skills with the residents, prepare them for leaving public housing. As somebody mentioned earlier, they're going to have to pay lights, gas, water, where in there in public housing, they pay one bill and that's it. And so we need to have life skills so these families will be able to operate a budget. I think we also need to get NRHA to escrow the rents to prepare the families for self-sufficiency. It's been done before in other communities, and I really believe that if NRHA would escrow the rents, so when this does happen, families will have savings account, they have money to do some of the things that they need to do to start having their own homes. There's a group around here called the Greater Norfolk, and in one of their meetings recently, there was a metaphor that compared Ronald Reagan telling Gorbachev to tear down that wall. And the president of this organization stood up in this meeting and told NRHA, tear down those buildings, not even recognizing that people live in these buildings. See, people ride past these public housing communities, and that's all they see, but they don't think about the people. I think I'm the only person up here that lived in public housing, and it's a very, very important part of our community. One of the things that we also need to do in NRHA is to upgrade the properties. Just because nothing is going to happen right now, we can't continue to let them become deteriorated. And they were deteriorated on purpose so that they could substantiate tearing these buildings down. And so there are just so many things that a lot of the individuals here spoke tonight that we need to make sure is put in place before we even consider doing something. $2 million is really nothing for what we need to do. The city needs to put more money in it, make a commitment, have places for residents to go, and then start the demolition. And I vote aye.
Mr. Smeagol?
So I'm happy that we're going to delay this because I wasn't going to vote for it tonight. And it was based off of comments that I started reading on Facebook and then going back and looking at presentations. So I had to request a copy of the presentation that was made to council last time. And it was interesting because I think when it was presented to us, I tended to focus on the goals. And I'm going to read the goals. The goals are to deconcentrate poverty and develop high-quality mixed-income, mixed-use communities of choice, increase self-sufficiency, financial independence, and successful outcomes for disadvantaged families through the provision of suitable housing choices and capacity-building supportive services, and provide access to excellent educational opportunities in partnership with Norfolk Public Schools, local colleges and universities, and early childhood education institutions. I don't think there's anybody in here that would disagree with those goals. Those are all things that we want for anybody in there. But the problem is if you go back earlier in the presentation, and I started making connections when I read the cooperation agreement, the very first part of the cooperation agreement says, is the purpose is to approve the redevelopment. It was my understanding that the purpose of this cooperation agreement was to establish a group that would then start planning the process of this. But when you read the language makes it seem like you're approving the redevelopment of it right now. And I go back and I go to the same presentation we received, which I obviously missed. It was very hot in that room, and it was hot in here. So maybe that hurt us a little bit with understanding this. But it says clearly in the presentation, it says, although no formally approved plan for the area, there have been several planning efforts in the past with established goals and general direction for the future planning of the area. Well, a lot of this was done in 2015, and we're 2 years later, and people have moved on, people have forgotten. And so it's hard. I understand what the community is saying. It's scary to hear this, and maybe a lot of people think there's a plan. We should have learned a lesson by now, in all the years I've been on council, about how we communicate to the public. It's the same thing when we tear down a school building and we don't involve as many people as we need to in the processes of that. And there's a lot of misinformation. Dr. Houston laid it out clearly. There's a lot of goals here, and we need to make sure that everybody understands. If communication is an issue, if we think that social media is the way that this is going to get this out, we're mistaken. It doesn't work sometimes. We have to visit churches. We have to visit schools. We have to have community meetings to talk to people and make sure that their concerns are alleviated. A lot of people don't know that this is being done in phases. I've had to clarify that with a lot of people, that this is phases. We're not doing a mass tear down of this. It's in phases. So many people didn't understand that. They thought we were just going to tear down everything and drive everybody out. I have people in my ward that are posting in Facebook on the Bayview Neighborhood Crime Watch concerned that their neighborhood's going to get turned over because everybody's going to move in there with Section 8 housing. But we don't even know how many Section 8 housing there is in the city or what's available. I mean, there's so much information that still needs to get out. Sometimes it's the fault of the headlines in the media and how it's sold. But we need to do a better job with getting the information out and the understanding of this. But I have to go back and look at the presentation. One of the things that bothers me in the cooperation agreement is it says purpose to approve the redevelopment. If it was just saying to approve the establishment of a committee to look at the redevelopment, then I would be okay with that. But it looks like we're already moving forward with redevelopment plans when no plans have been developed or that the community hasn't been engaged at 100%. So I'm glad that we are delaying this so that we can have more of those conversations with the community. Aye.
Mr. Thomas? Aye. Dr. Whibley?
Thank you all for coming out. This is great. I think not only do we need your input, but I also think we need your energy. Because I think you all need to realize we need to change these neighborhoods. Crime, education, health are all concentrated poorly in these neighborhoods. You deserve better, and we need to hear the ideas from you, but status quo isn't the answer. So I'm hopeful that we can come back, like Tommy says, have a plan on how we engage people, hear some ideas, but I hope we don't see this discussion tonight as meaning you don't want us to do anything. Because I'm hopeful that we can effect some positive change to hit the goals that Tommy voiced. So yes, we should delay. Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you all for coming. This has been very helpful. I do have concerns, and that's the reason that the council and to collectively we have decided to have a motion to delay the vote or continue generally. One of the things that, and as Councilman Smeagol pointed out, the governance and the implementation of the ordinance, it appears that the plan, the vision, the mission, the strategic goals of the plan will be initiated by this single purpose an entity and not having a full inclusion of the citizens, and that's just unacceptable. Any vision, any plan, any goal that will be adopted or be presented to the council for adoption should include, clearly include the input from those who are living and those who are closer to this community. So I vote aye. The motion is to continue generally. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Yes, sir. You were the final vote, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mayor. I do have one additional item, numbered R10.
Yes.
And that is an ordinance appropriating $121,838 from the U.S. Marshal Service Special Revenue Account, if and when received, and authorizing the expenditure thereof at the direction of the sheriff to pay for various employee benefits, equipment purchases, and maintenance costs related to programs designed to improve the efficiency of the jail. Dispense with the charter requirement for reading the ordinance and adopt. Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Ms. McClellan?
Aye.
Mr. Riddick? Aye. Mr. Smeagol?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas?
Aye.
Dr. Whibley?
Aye.
Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Rodney Jordan.
Good evening, Rodney Jordan, 2506 Myrtle Avenue. Apologize, I actually signed up for R9 but didn't get called, so I'm still going to speak to R9. But I'm just going to be focused and limited in my remarks. Mr. Mayor, you just spoke to the governance structure, and no disrespect to Manager Smith or to Mr. Konak, the Executive Director of the Housing Authority, but I recommend that you do not pursue that management structure as is currently designed. Had we, as I mentioned earlier, I served on the Housing Authority Board from 2002, 2009, spent a lot of time on the Broad Creek project and many other projects. Had we pursued that type of structure with Broad Creek versus the steering committee, where we made sure we had policymakers at the table in the schools and others at the table, and Ms. Johnson, you were Civic League president. Unfortunately, we always met when you were in school, but we would always meet and talk about the resident input. We wouldn't have the Broad Creek today. We wouldn't have the Kroc Center. We wouldn't have the new school. We would have the old Roberts Gym, and we wouldn't have any of the things that we've talked about today. With Bay Oaks Park, had we pursued that type of model, we would not have Bay Oaks Park today. I said at the Housing Authority, the relationship right now that exists between the city and the Housing Authority is more of a parent-child relationship than it was back in the heyday when the Housing Authority was said to run the city back in the 70s. It's a parent-child relationship. The Housing Authority depends upon funds from the city, and then the structure calls for the city manager to be the chair of the board, the executive director of the Housing Authority to be the vice chair of the board. They each appoint employees. I mean, when I read it, I thought it was a throwback to Mayor Duckworth. I really did, for those that know anything about the history of Norfolk. So I would suggest that not only do you hold as you're doing, but really scrap that whole model. You need a completely different model, one that is not about citizen input, but is about citizens at the table as equity partners, as full participants with the right to vote and have decision-making over their livelihood as we would do in any other neighborhood. Please do not pursue and allow that model as currently envisioned to go forward. I was surprised by the Housing Authority vote because I think the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners has abdicated their responsibility in that regard. And I would ask that the City Council not do that. We've elected you to represent us. We need you at that table. We need the policymakers at the table. And we need you all to drive that project in a way that makes sure that all the things you heard today happen. You cannot turn that over simply to staff. And oftentimes the staff don't even live in the city or even live in the impacted ward. We need you all at the table driving that vision with residents at the table with you. So that's what I wanted to say as part of R9. Thank you.
Tom, new business. Tom, continuing new business. Tom Luckman.
Evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. My name is Tom Luckman. I reside at 3192 Galahad Drive, Virginia Beach, Virginia. At the last council meeting, a group spoke up for those who couldn't in an effort to address the neglect at Booker T. Washington High School. Tonight, I do the same for those city retirees who can't speak up for the neglect they continue to suffer. The difference being, retirees have no famous spokesperson, and the issue is not school board budget allocation, but one that rests solely with this council. The Retiree Association, that has for years represented me, has repeatedly attempted to raise council's awareness and address retiree loss of pension due to the abrupt cessation of the cost of living allowance, or COLAs. More recently, they stated their concerns with the promulgation to you of the COLA issues folder. Knowing the City of Norfolk is the only governmental entity in the 757 without an annual COLA, you have recently attempted to mitigate this fact, or more appropriately, appease certain classes of retirees by awarding a bonus or a supplement to some arbitrary group, when in reality all that was accomplished was the annual creation of a new group of retiree winners and losers. In order to deal with this egregious situation, I addressed council at the last budget hearing and encourage you to retain the services of a qualified consulting firm to develop a plan aimed at addressing the city's pension plan shortfalls. Continually kicking the COLA issue down the road is not only dereliction on your part, but dangerous for the continued vitality of the present and future workforce of this city. It is time, Mr. Mayor, with the assistance of the Vice Mayor, to provide the leadership to gain council support for a thorough review by experts in order to appropriately address this increasingly serious situation. Mr. Mayor, I know you're aware of the national consulting firms with downtown offices in Norfolk capable of accomplishing the work required. Action must occur soon, for any study findings and recommendations will be too late for this coming year's budget, and retirees will continue to lose. And just as importantly, employees will continue to doubt their futures with the City of Norfolk. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Thank you. Gary Embry.
Mr. Mayor, when I was in here last time, there was one council lady missing, so the council has gotten more beautiful since she's back now. The thing I want to reiterate what he just said. It seems like some of us retirees haven't got a pay raise in over 10 years. We could sure use, any increase that the council could give us. I only did 10 years with the city. I got tired of bureaucracy, so I retired and went back into radio broadcasting. But the point of it is that it would be grateful if y'all could give us some kind of a COLA pay raise or something to help us pay the bills. Anything y'all could do would be greatly appreciated. And just like I said, the council has gotten beautiful since Councilwoman Johnson came back, and all the rest of the council members, council ladies. But thank you so much, and anything y'all can do to help us poor retirees would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Robert Henderson.
Good evening, Mayor Alexander.
Good evening.
Vice Mayor Ms. Whitley, and the council. I'm an ex-felon, and I think we being set up for failure, because you got a lot of them around the city of Norfolk. Let's be honest. All them projects, you go to each house, you got a convicted felon in there, and not having stable housing. You stay with a girl, your girlfriend, you stay with your sister, and little issues come up. They put you out, or they gonna threaten to call the police on you. I'm dealing with that right now, and it's stressing me out. I think Dr. Jordan kind of spoke about affordable housing for the less fortunate. I don't know his name, but the Reverend from Basilica, he basically spoke on the same issue, housing issue. I'm talking about fair housing, stable housing for people that need it. I don't choose to be in the street, but if you force my hand, I can survive out there. And it might be at some of y'all back doors, just like the dude was saying. I'm just saying, not saying I'm gonna do that, but that's the mind frame that y'all put us in, not hearing us, what we going through. I'm going through something right now. I've been in the street since last night because me and my sister got to arguing. Get out my house before I call the police on you. I'm on probation. I ain't got nowhere to go, but I can survive. You know, and it's just crazy. It's going on all over the city. Don't nobody really look at what an ex-felon need. That's why all them crimes going on around the city right now. And y'all can change it. I'm just one voice, but y'all know what's going on. I come up here because I care. People get mad at me because I'm forceful. I'm forceful. I speak for what I believe in. I'm trying to do the right thing. And it's been stressing me, but I'm not gonna fail. This is the longest I ever been home, Mr. Alexander. You can ask Alonzo Alexander. 2 years. I usually come home and I be home 4 months. 4 months, 3 months, 90 days, and I'm going back to prison. I did 25 and a half years, and I'm in a situation right now where I'm asking for some help, not just for myself, but for everybody else out there going through what I'm going through. Put us out here in a situation for the fair, because for one, I come up in the project. I can't go stay with nobody in the project. Ask John Kodak back there. You know why? Because you're going to throw them out. You got somebody in your house that don't supposed to be there, but my people weren't fortunate enough to be able to have a nice big house like a lot of y'all go home to. That's what I'm dealing with right now. And I just want y'all to hear me.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. James Jarman.
Good afternoon, Council. I initially wanted to address Council and point out the trickle-down effects of low-income and moderate-income housing with respect to the 5 schools. But on tonight, in view of the circumstances and what's been already transpired in the room, I would forfeit my time and address Council at another time. I think enough been said about the matter. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Danny Lee Ginn.
My name is Danny Lee Ginn. I reside at 3844 Dare Circle. And tonight I'm going to bounce off something that Tommy Smeagol said. He correctly told people back here the council hasn't communicated well with the public, and he is exactly right. I've been coming here for almost 10 years, and I asked a simple question. Where do you stand in regards to Paul Riddick's behavior when he shows racism? Do you support it? We don't know because you've never addressed the issue. What do you think about Paul Riddick when he tries to bully a citizen who comes up here and threatens him to the point that he has to be taken to court? Where do you stand when Paul Riddick says he's going to run the police chief out of town on a rail because he says something that Paul Riddick doesn't like? The bullying, the threatening, the intimidation. Where do you stand when he actually yells and screams at a young councilman to the point that the council has to be stopped? And the council meeting has to be stopped in order to stop his belligerent behavior. Where do you stand when he tries to humiliate a African-American councilwoman and tells her she should shut her mouth and basically follow his lead because he wants her to vote on something that she's not even aware of? I come back over and over again. I expect to be communicated with. The rest of the public out there expects an answer from this. I'm not a lone voice. I just am determined enough to get an answer from you as to where you stand. The simple way is to have a vote of no confidence. If you choose not to do this, then individually tell people in this city where you stand in regards to this conduct. If I conducted myself in the manner that Paul Riddick has conducted himself, you would have me drugged out of this chamber. If I called any of you, for example, when Paul Riddick refers to white people as crackers, is that acceptable to you? Apparently it is, because you have nothing to say in regards to it. So on your long vacation, think about, what you should do, what you tell your children, what you stand for, and whether or not you should address these issues so they can be corrected.
Mr. Clerk, does that complete the agenda? Do we have any other business before the council? Mr.
Are we
Manager?
meeting downstairs?
It's up to you guys if you want to do it.
How long is it gonna take?
Mr. Clerk, do we have time-sensitive appointments that we need to make before recess?
If it be the will of the council,
Are they time-sensitive?
a few are, yes, sir.
So we should continue to meet downstairs. We have some time-sensitive appointments that we should make. Council's adjourned.